Today, I'm talking about one of my favorite things in the world, coffee. Specifically, coffee and cocktails. 3 of them for you on your coffee break. On your coffee break. 3 daily trips where shining shine benignly drips. I'm happy to be partnered today with Mr. Black to make these 3 cocktails using their delicious black nectar. Which you've seen me using on the show a few times actually now. In fact, so did they. And they thought that was pretty cool, that I was a fan. And they made the feeling very mutual-like by sponsoring this episode. So let me say thank you to Mr. Black right off the bat. Thank you, Mr. Black. In case you don't know already, or in case I misspoke in an earlier episode without the benefit of getting it straight from the horse's mouth myself, Mr. Black is a cold brew coffee liqueur made from 100% ethically sourced Arabica coffee beans. Has very little sugar in it, especially compared to other coffee liqueurs on the market, which I think makes it super handy behind the bar. Because if you need sweetness in a cocktail, you can always add it back in yourself, but at least here now you've got the option. The option is yours. Mr. Black was founded in 2013 in Australia, and yes, they roast all the beans themselves in the same building where they mix up batches of this fantastically caffeinated quaff. The first drink on our list today comes straight from Mr. Black. It's a house favorite over there. They call it the Cold Brew Old Fashioned, and I'm gonna mix it up in this old fashioned glass. And oh, if you're wondering what this Mocha Master coffee maker is doing here today in my bar, other than just being excellent coffee-themed decor, Mr. Black is going to be giving away a Mocha Master and a whole set of bar tools, and I'll tell you how to enter in that later on in the episode, so stay tuned, as they used to say. Do people still tune? Stay tuned. You know, that actually mean like you used to have an analog tuner. And you get like the Tonight Show or some shit like that, or the Honeymooners. You had to physically tune it in. It wasn't just chunk, chunk, chunk. Anyway, start with a big ice cube in the glass. And then I want to add an ounce. I'm going to add an ounce of Mr. Black coffee liqueur. And here we go with that. 1 ounce. Pour. And then I'm going to put 1 ounce of rye, so equal parts Mr. Black and rye. 30 milliliters. If your preference is for science. 1, 2 dashes of orange bitters. Here we go. 1 and 2. Give that a good solid stir in the glass there. If you are fortunate enough to have an ice stamp from Mr. Black, if you win the contest, I think you'll be getting one of these. You can stamp your ice. It's pretty neat. Never used one of those before. That is really cool. Get like an eyeball on the ice cube. People freaking out about that. And we're gonna garnish this with a simple twist of orange peel, like any other old fashioned. Just twisty twist. Whoop. Spray, spray. Smells good. And there it is, the very simple cold brew old fashioned. Apparently a house favorite down in Australia where they make Mr. Black. Let's give it a taste. This eye is staring back at me off the ice cube. It's neat. I feel seen. It's seeing me. Here we go. Ooh. Oh, I like that. It's very dry. It's not sweet. And actually for some palates, if you happen to like your old-fashioned a little sweeter, a bar spoon or 2 of simple will probably sweeten it up. But, you know, some people like a little sugar in their coffee too. I really like this. It has a orangey bitterness that is really you wouldn't expect it. I mean, I know there's orange bitters and a twist of orange, but the orange and the coffee, they go together super duper well. I mean, those are flavors that are not unfamiliar to each other. Yes, of course, orange juice and a glass of coffee, they go terrible together, I find, at breakfast when you have one in each hand, but you gotta do it, right? You gotta have the orange juice and the coffee. That's not this, though. This is more like an orange and chocolate kind of thing, like a nice dark chocolate. Because I think when you take coffee and you make it into a coffee liqueur, I mean, there's a lot of chocolate desserts that rely on coffee, in fact. It sort of becomes chocolatey, and Mr. Black is a bit chocolatey as well. We should, it's a sponsored episode, guys, we should face that out, right? We should put that out there, right? You guys are paying for that. It's a little bit chocolatey and orangey, I find, in a way that kind of reminds me of one of those, what are those things, that orange chocolate sphere that you whack it to open it up. Yeah, a little bit like that, but not very sweet, like a less sweetened, more grown-up version. It's very nice. Yeah, like, I don't know, I'm gonna say smoky, but it's not smoky. It's got that coffee aftertaste. There's probably a proper, like, I'm not a coffee taster. It's probably like a coffee tasting note that I should be referencing here, but I would say it's it's roasty. I like it a lot. Great drink, fantastic. Put that there on the silver aluminum tray. Once upon a time, aluminum was more valuable than silver. Did you know that? It's one of those old school aluminum trays. So that was the cold brew old fashioned. And now I just love having Mr. Black around the bar, so I worked up another 2 cocktails that will feature Mr. Black. Let's get into that next. The first up is a drink I'd call the Chiapparoni. This is a weird and probably terrible name because I am bad at naming drinks. It comes from my personal love of coffee from Chiapas, and because the drink sort of reminded me of a Negroni, but only slightly. I am bad at naming cocktails though. I like this drink in a coupe, so here is my coupe, and I'm gonna build it in a mixing glass and strain it so you'll need a mixing glass. So, I've got my jiggery-doo. I wanna start with 3/4 of an ounce of Amaro Angostura. I have not tested this with other Amaros. I think that most of them will be very nice here. I just think you're gonna get a different variation on the drink. The Amaros are not really things that you can swap in and out. The Amaros I think would be good here just based on, without testing them. I don't have any on the set with me, but like a Chiarotto I think would be good here. I actually really like Amaro Angostura. I think it's wonderful stuff. Now I need an ounce of the Mr. Black liqueur. And I need an ounce of a Reposado Tequila. Lately, I've been a big fan of this La Gretona. Corks have a funny way of getting away from me, and I like that this one protects me from having an escaping cork situation. 1 ounce of my Reposado Tequila. So, why does it remind me of a Negroni? Well, because it's equal parts 3 things, involves Amaro. Campari is an Amaro? I think so. It's a digestive at the very least. Maybe it's not an Amaro. You know, it's possible that I'm not up on my definition of Amaro. I like to add a couple dashes of cocoa bitters here as well. I think that Bittermans, or is it Bittermans or Bitter Truth? The Chocolatal, they'd be good too. But lately I've been using the Angostura cocoa. I think they're fantastic. So any chocolate bitters though should be fine here, really. I'm gonna crack some ice into my mixing glass. Give that feller a great old stir. This is my coupe that I have chosen. Nice little Nick and Nora here. Give that a pour. Ah, yes, there it is, a Chiapparoni, which I've spilt all over myself here. I again will garnish this with a twist of orange. I don't have a knife with me. I was gonna do like a nice fancy showy thing here with this. Do I have a channel knife handy at least? I don't have a knife. I didn't bring a knife. I'm an idiot. I'm gonna say I could do, well, I have the ice knife. I could do this though. You can always do that. At least that, right? Something going on with that thing. Here we go, Chiapparoni. My coffee Negroni thing. Fuck, that's good. Oh, I love that. That is wonderful. Ooh, what a wonderful evolution it has too. I'm very pleased with this drink. It has, oh man, this drink needs maybe a better name. If you have a better name for this drink and put it on your bar menu, please let me know. It has, hold on, let me go back in there because it has a really cool thing going on. It has a really wonderfully orange, bright sweetness to it without any added sugar that settles into a very complex, multifaceted Amaro thing, thanks to the Angostura, the Amaro de Angostura. It is cinnamon and chocolate and cocoa and all kinds of, I don't know, this is gonna sound dumb, but it tastes like South America or something. I don't know, it has a wonderful mystique to this drink, and I hope that I'm not just being an asshole when I say things like that. Now I'm gonna say it's a lot less bitter. It is not bitter the way that a Negroni is bitter at all. It's bitter the way that like coffee can be bitter, like a good, strong coffee can be bitter. Boy, that chocolate note is just absolutely a delight that comes in there. Let me go again. This is a very good drink. I make a lot of drinks on the show that are never going to make it into my standard repertoire, but I think that this one will, because it's easy to make and it's not super proofy. Like I could have a couple of these quick, you know. I could see building this over the rocks on a rock too, like just in a double old fashioned. And it's easy, right? Like it's equal parts tequila, yeah, with a couple dashes of the cocoa bitters. This is a delicious drink, and every sip's a little bit different. You know what though? The tequila here. The tequila accents and plays with the coffee and the cocoa in a way that a different base spirit I don't think would, because tequila has such a vegetal, I've sometimes said it sometimes can taste minty, but it has such a vegetal herbaceousness to it that another base spirit won't have typically. And I think that, you know, it's one of those things where you don't necessarily, I didn't know it was gonna, I went through a bunch of variations before I arrived at this drink. Matter of fact, this was an accident that kind of spun off of developing the third drink in this episode. But it's a surprising thing. It would never occur to you, to me anyway, looking at, you know, a kind of a piece of paper and thinking about a cocktail recipe, that, oh, you know what's gonna really work here is tequila. But sometimes you just do things with trial and error and you end up with something that just works, and it really does. This is one of my finer moments. All right, and I'm a lightweight and I'm on a diet, so I'm starting to feel it already. Let's get through this third drink. One more. All right, one more Mr. Black original from me, and I call this drink the Blue Mountain King because it's somewhat related to the El Presidente, but with coffee and Jamaican rum. And Blue Mountain coffee is famous in Jamaica, and a king is another kind of political leader. And because of Griegs in the Hall of the Mountain King, so Blue Mountain King. Makes sense, right? You following? There's gonna be a quiz later on this. This is another one that I like in a coupe, so I will be needing another mixing glass to mix this up, and here that thing is. So I'm going to start with 3/4 of an ounce of Blanc vermouth, not a dry vermouth, but a Blanc. A Blanc is just a bit sweeter, and it's really the key to making this drink's daddy, the El Presidente, awesome. Same is true here. Blanc vermouth, and I like Dolan. 3/4 of an ounce of Blanc vermouth. Blanc is not a dry, although it is, well, it is Blanc. Then you need 1 ounce pour of Mr. Black. I need 1 ounce of Jamaican rum. I'm using Appleton Estate Reserve. You should use the rum that you like, although I think that thematically this drink does need to have a Jamaican rum. I also think that this is probably not the drink for like your Ray and Nephew Overproof, so looking for something kind of in a more mildly less funky style, like a Appleton Estate Reserve. For me, I like 1 dash of Ango bitters, that was sort of a dash, and 1 dash of orange bitters in this drink, just 1 and 1. An El Presidente typically will call for some curacao, and a scant amount, like a bar spoon or a 1/4 ounce is good in this drink, because I've tested it a few times. I'm actually gonna skip it on this build because I happen to personally prefer it without it. But if you're trying to keep this as a cousin to an El Presidente more closely, a little curacao, a little dry curacao is not gonna be bad here. I don't think you need it, but certainly I would say that that's still going to be a Blue Mountain King. Crack some ice into your mixing glass and give it a stir. Give that a stir. Have your glass at the ready. Strain that away. I'm going to garnish that with a couple of Luxardo Maraschino cherries. Maybe even as many as 3 of them, because I do love them so. And prepare yourself to enter the Hall of the Blue Mountain King. Bum, 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 bum. Ooh, I like this drink a lot. This one has a very subtle entry. It's not at all like the last one, which is very in your face. This one kind of sneaks up on you. You get a very mild, like pleasant glass of coffee note at the front that gets into a kind of a tart, but sweet vermouth and rum place after that. Also, I think that the orange bitters are, of course, playing a factor there. A little touch of those Angostura bitters, adding a little bit of complexity. Could you use a little bit more? Maybe. Would a bar spoon of dry curacao go good here? As I said before, it does, but it does make the drink a little bit less subtle. And one of the things I like about it is how the evolution of this particular formulation is very smooth and subtle in unfolding. If you throw a little bit of that in there, it's going to up the sweetness and also the orange notes, and it's going to be much more, it's going to attack you much faster. This is like a, this is like a fireside chat. It's a very mellow, great after dinner drink. That attack on the drink is just really, there's a mouth feel to it that is very pleasant. It is because of the vermouth, sweet, pleasant, complex, tough to isolate the flavors, to be honest, which I think is a great sign. Coffee-based cocktail. The coffee is unmistakable, but in a very, I like it. I mean, if you don't like coffee, you might not like it, but I really like it. And I personally also think that its connection to an El Presidente is felt here as well. It still feels to me like a drink that is related to an El Presidente. Sometimes you get like different levels of variation in your taste. You're going to get different kinds of flavor profiles. That one I got a lot more volatile compounds. I got some very roast kind of flavors, really tasting the beans there. A little drop of cherry juice too is not a bad choice in this drink. All right, so I mentioned that I would explain how you could win this Mocha Master and these bar tools. Well, Mr. Black is giving away the whole kit and caboodle to one of you lucky ducks to celebrate International Coffee Day. All you've got to do is follow the link below and fill out the form you will find on the other side of it. I will announce the winner personally on October 14th on my Instagram and Twitter, so make sure you follow me too, I guess. And you can follow my Twitter at how2drink with a number, and my Instagram is the same, how2drink. And I have a Twitch, by the way, at twitch.tv/GregFromHTD. I am doing a lot of live stuff on there. Some of it happens here in the bar, some of it not. I hope that you will check that out. We've been playing tabletop RPGs on Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern with some very close friends. Currently, we are doing Cyberpunk Red, which is pretty exciting because it's not yet available on the market. If you like live stuff, but you can't match my schedule, the streams all migrate over to my second channel, H2D2, eventually. And if you want to support the show, get a pin, see the parts of the episode that did not make the cut, my Patreon is over at patreon.com/howtodrink. If you like the show, it's always great if you subscribe, like, and comment, as all YouTubers are ever going to ask you to do. But, here are some other episodes that I think that you would really enjoy. I've done a lot of stuff based on coffee. Why don't I put those links up here? I'm going to show you some episodes on coffee. I actually think that the Dune coffee episode is pretty cool when I talked about Dune. Toodles, I'll see you soon.